Earth was a backwater planet in the farthest corner of the galaxy. To the advanced civilizations that populated the stars, it was nothing more than a speck of dust, a forgotten world filled with primitive creatures. Humans, the most intelligent species on this world, had long been seen as nothing more than an afterthought. The galaxy had no reason to pay attention to Earth, its inhabitants, or the struggles they faced. The galaxy's elite had more important matters to deal with: wars, politics, and the expansion of their empires. Earth was far too insignificant for any of them to bother with. But there was something happening on Earth that even the most advanced minds in the galaxy had missed. Deep beneath the surface, in places where no one cared to look, Earth had been quietly preparing for a moment of unimaginable power. For centuries, Earth had been a world of conflict, struggle, and survival. The humans, despite their primitive tools and limited technology, had managed to survive in an unforgiving environment. They had learned to adapt, to fight, and to persevere, while the galaxy's civilizations built colossal starships and mastered the science of the stars. Humans focused on something different: the power of will, and that would become their greatest strength. The story begins on a quiet day. A group of scientists, working in secret for years, finally completed an experiment that no one else believed possible. It was a project meant to harness the hidden energies deep within Earth's core, a force of nature that humans had long speculated about but had never been able to tap into. These scientists had discovered a way to amplify Earth's natural energy, creating a surge of power that could change the course of history. But the experiment did not go unnoticed. An alien ship, cruising silently through the depths of space, detected the sudden burst of energy. It was an anomaly, something unlike anything they had ever seen before. The ship's crew, members of an advanced alien empire, had been on a routine mission, exploring distant worlds. But when they encountered the energy signature from Earth, they knew something extraordinary was happening on this seemingly insignificant planet. The aliens had no idea what they were about to discover. They were about to learn that Earth was not the primitive backwater world they thought it was. The energy surge from the experiment revealed a potential within Earth that no one had expected. It was as if the planet had been holding its breath, waiting for the right moment to reveal its power to the galaxy. The aliens, curious but confident in their superiority, decided to investigate. They would soon learn that humans were not as weak as they had believed. As the alien ship approached Earth's atmosphere, its crew was filled with anticipation. They had witnessed countless civilizations rise and fall in their empire's long history. They were accustomed to being the dominant force in the galaxy, and they had no reason to believe that Earth would be any different. But they were wrong. In the moments before the aliens made contact with Earth, something unexpected happened. Another surge of energy, even more powerful than before, erupted from the planet's core. It spread outward like a shockwave, sending ripples through space. The aliens watched in awe as Earth seemed to come alive in a way they had never seen before. The power emanating from Earth was not just physical, it was something deeper, something intangible. It was the will of the humans, the collective force of every person on the planet, combined with the planet itself. This force, this unyielding drive, was something that could not be ignored. It was as if Earth was telling the galaxy, "We are not weak. We are not your slaves. We are not your toys." The aliens, now realizing the true nature of Earth, began to hesitate. They had come to conquer, to dominate, but now they faced an unknown. The energy from the planet was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It was raw, unpredictable, and powerful. But it wasn't just the energy that made Earth a threat, it was the humans themselves. The aliens had underestimated them for far too long. Humans, despite their primitive appearance, had always been resilient. They had always found ways to survive, to overcome obstacles, and to fight back against greater forces. Now, the galaxy would see that Earth had a hidden power, one that could not be measured by the standards of the stars. The humans were about to show the galaxy what they were capable of. The aliens had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest, but they were about to discover that the humans of Earth were not to be underestimated. The energy surges from Earth were just the beginning. Soon the galaxy would understand that Earth was not just a backwater planet, it was the birthplace of a force that could rival anything the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens would learn this the hard way, as they would soon find themselves face to face with a humanity that refused to back down. This was just the start of Earth's rise, and the galaxy, for the first time in its long history, would be forced to recognize the power that lay dormant on this forgotten world. The time for Earth's reckoning had come. The alien ship touched down on Earth, the ground trembling as its massive engines powered down. The crew members, confident in their advanced technology, disembarked from the ship with ease, expecting a quick and easy conquest. They had traveled countless light years, arriving on a planet they believed to be primitive, underdeveloped, and defenseless. The humans were nothing more than creatures to be studied and exploited. That was their assumption. However, as they looked around, the world before them was not what they had expected. Earth was not the barren, quiet planet they had anticipated. There was something unsettling in the air, a tension that filled the atmosphere. The aliens felt it immediately. The ground beneath their feet was alive with an energy they couldn't explain. They had thought they would be the ones to impose their will, but now they began to question their certainty. As they advanced into the human city, they were met with a strange sight. Humans, seemingly ordinary and unarmed, moved quickly through the streets, their eyes full of purpose. They didn't panic, they didn't run. They simply observed the newcomers, calculating. In the eyes of the humans, the aliens could sense something they had never encountered before: defiance. The humans did not tremble in fear. They did not kneel before the powerful aliens as others had. Instead, they stood tall, watching the invaders, with a resolve that unnerved the alien soldiers. These were not the weak, defenseless creatures the aliens had been told to expect. They were something else entirely. At that moment, the humans knew they had to act. They had no grand fleet or powerful weapons, yet they possessed something far more dangerous. The sheer will to fight, to protect their home, was something that no alien army had ever been prepared for. The first sign of human resistance came, swiftly. A group of humans, hidden behind makeshift barricades, launched a surprise attack on the aliens. The advanced alien technology, which had been designed to dominate the galaxy, failed to account for the unpredictable nature of Earth's inhabitants. The aliens, initially confident in their advanced weaponry, were stunned by the humans' resilience. The humans fought with everything they had, using tools, their environment, and their resourcefulness. The aliens had expected an easy victory, but instead, they found themselves struggling against an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with every battle. The alien commanders were furious. This wasn't supposed to happen. Earth wasn't supposed to be a challenge. Yet they were quickly realizing that the humans weren't just fighting, they were evolving. They adapted quickly to the alien technology, understanding its weaknesses and exploiting them. The battle that had begun as a simple invasion now turned into something much more complicated. As the alien forces regrouped, they began to question their initial assumptions. The humans weren't merely fighting for survival, they were fighting with a passion that the aliens could not understand. There was something deep within the humans, something that no alien had ever encountered before. They were driven by an inner fire, a collective determination to protect their home, their families, and their way of life. The aliens, despite their superior technology, found themselves at a disadvantage. Their once confident march through Earth had turned into a grueling battle for control. The humans, though seemingly outmatched, fought with a tenacity that no one had expected. And with every small victory, their confidence grew. What had started as an overwhelming alien invasion was quickly transforming into a fierce struggle for survival. The alien leaders began to grow desperate. They had underestimated Earth, its people, and their strength. The more they fought, the more they realized that humanity was not the simple, primitive species they had assumed. The humans were not only capable of survival, they were capable of thriving against impossible odds. This was not just a battle for Earth's survival. It was a battle to prove that humans were a force to be reckoned with. As the fight continued, the alien forces began to feel the weight of their arrogance. They had come to conquer, but instead, they were facing an unexpected force of nature. The humans weren't just defending their world, they were fighting to change the very way the galaxy viewed them. Every alien soldier who fell in battle sent a message to the galaxy. Earth was not a weak planet. Earth was a world that would fight for its place in the stars. The aliens were beginning to see that their invasion was not just a test of strength, it was a test of wills. The humans were not going to simply roll over. They would stand tall, no matter the odds. Earth was not just a backwater planet. It was a world with a heart, a world with a soul. And the galaxy would soon learn that humanity's greatest strength lay not in their technology, but in their unwavering will to survive. As the battle raged on, the alien forces found themselves at a crossroads. Their initial arrogance had been shattered, and now they had to decide whether to push forward, risking everything, or retreat and regroup. They had come to conquer a backwater planet, but now they faced an enemy that had turned the tables. The humans, once thought to be weak, had proven that their strength lay not in their weapons, but in their ability to fight back, to adapt, and to survive against the odds. And this was only the beginning. The galaxy was watching, and it was about to learn a powerful truth. Humanity was no longer just a backwater species. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they had only just begun to show their true power. The aliens were about to face a reality they never expected. Earth was not a planet to be conquered. It was a planet that would fight to the bitter end, and it was a planet that would never bow to any force, no matter how advanced, no matter how powerful. The battle between humanity and the alien invaders had reached a critical point. What began as a shocking resistance had evolved into a full-scale war. The aliens, despite their technological superiority, had not anticipated the power of Earth's greatest asset, its people. But what the aliens still did not know was that humanity was hiding something far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Deep in the heart of Earth, a project had been underway for decades, a project that no one outside of a select group of scientists had any knowledge of. It was a secret weapon, not one built with flashy technology or superior firepower, but something much more subtle, something much more lethal. The weapon wasn't a physical object. It was a force, a culmination of the human spirit, willpower, and the hidden power within the planet itself. As the aliens pressed their attack, the humans realized that their initial successes were not enough. While their resistance was fierce, they were losing ground. The alien forces had regrouped, their advanced ships and weapons proving difficult to defeat. Humans needed something more, something that would tip the balance of power back in their favor. That's when they turned to the weapon. It had been developed by a coalition of the brightest minds on Earth, working in secret beneath the surface of the planet. They had discovered a source of energy hidden deep within Earth's core that had the potential to amplify the planet's natural forces. This energy, though dangerous, could be harnessed to fuel a device capable of turning the tide of any war. It was a weapon of unimaginable power, one that could alter the course of history. The weapon's design was simple but brilliant. It would create an energy pulse so intense that it would disable any advanced technology within a certain radius, rendering the alien invaders' superior weapons useless. The humans had realized that they could not match the aliens' technology in a conventional battle, but they could exploit one weakness that the aliens had overlooked: their reliance on their advanced technology. The humans understood that the aliens' power depended on their machines, and without their machines, they were vulnerable. However, the weapon was not without its risks. To unleash it, they would need to tap into the very core of Earth's energy, something that could have catastrophic consequences if handled improperly. The team of scientists who had developed the device had warned that the energy could be unpredictable, and there was no guarantee it would work as intended. But desperate times called for desperate measures, and the humans had no choice but to take that risk. As the alien forces prepared for their final assault, the humans activated the device. The ground shook, the sky above them darkened, and a pulse of energy surged through the planet. The weapon had been unleashed. For a moment, everything went silent. The pulse of energy radiated outward, and the alien fleet that hovered above Earth began to experience immediate effects. Their advanced weapons faltered, their ships malfunctioned, and the invaders were thrown into chaos. What had once been an overwhelming force was now crippled by the very technology that had made them so confident. The humans watched in disbelief as the alien ships, once so powerful, began to fall from the sky. Their energy shields flickered and failed, their weapons misfired, and their systems shut down. The humans had done it. The secret weapon had worked, but the victory was not without its consequences. The energy pulse had affected the planet as well, causing earthquakes, wildfires, and violent storms across the globe. The force of the pulse was so powerful that it seemed to tear at the very fabric of Earth itself. But in the midst of the chaos, the humans knew they had won. The aliens, stunned and disoriented, were now vulnerable. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back. They had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest, only to be met with an enemy they could not defeat. Now, the alien fleet was in disarray, and the humans had one chance to finish what they had started. They had no grand fleet or advanced weaponry, but they had something the aliens could not replicate: determination. As the aliens attempted to regroup, the humans pressed forward. The alien forces, once so powerful, were now scattered and disorganized. The humans launched a counterattack, using the same resourcefulness and cunning that had helped them survive the initial invasion. The aliens, now on the defensive, were realizing that their invasion of Earth had been a mistake. The tide of the battle had shifted. The humans, empowered by their secret weapon, were no longer the underdogs. They were the victors. The aliens, who had believed themselves invincible, were now on the run. Their once mighty fleet was in ruins, and their soldiers, disoriented and confused, were no match for the human forces. Earth had gone from being a backwater planet to becoming a symbol of resistance and strength. The galaxy would never look at this planet the same way again. The humans knew that this victory was only the beginning. The secret weapon had given them the edge they needed to push back the alien invaders, but the war was far from over. The aliens, humiliated and defeated, would not give up so easily. But the humans had proven something to the galaxy. Earth was not a planet to be underestimated. It was a world filled with untapped potential, a world with the strength to stand up to any force that sought to dominate it. As the dust settled and the aliens began to retreat, the humans realized that their fight was not just about survival. It was about proving that they belonged in the galaxy. The invasion had shown them what they were capable of, and they would not stop fighting until the galaxy knew exactly what Earth was capable of. The secret weapon had changed everything, and now humanity had the power to change the course of their future. The victory over the alien invaders was only the beginning. While the alien fleet had been crippled by Earth's secret weapon, the humans knew they were far from safe. The retreating invaders had not forgotten their mission. They were a powerful, determined force, and they would not abandon their conquest so easily. This was no longer a simple war of defense. It was a battle for Earth's future, a battle that would determine if humanity could secure its place among the stars. The retreating alien fleet began to regroup. Although their ships had been damaged by the energy pulse, they still had the technological advantage. Their weapon systems were down, but they had backup plans, contingencies in place. The aliens quickly mobilized their remaining forces, preparing for a final decisive strike. But this time, the humans were ready. They had learned the weaknesses of the alien invaders and were determined not to let them have another chance. What followed was not a single battle, but a series of skirmishes, each one more intense than the last. The humans, despite their lack of advanced technology, had proven themselves resourceful. They built makeshift weapons, modified old vehicles into armored machines, and used the terrain to their advantage. Their tactics were unconventional, their spirit unmatched. Earth had become a battlefield, and every inch of land was fought for with the ferocity of a species that would not yield. The aliens, who had once viewed the humans as nothing more than pests, were beginning to see the full extent of the human will to survive. The invaders launched assault after assault, but the humans held their ground. Earth's cities, once peaceful and unprepared, had transformed into fortresses. Humans fought not just for survival, but for their future, for the chance to live without fear of an alien empire that sought to dominate them. But the aliens were relentless. They had learned from their initial mistakes, and their new tactics were more precise, more coordinated. Their new weaponry, though not as powerful as before, was enough to cause widespread destruction. Entire cities fell under their bombardment. As the human resistance fought back with everything they had, the true scale of the war became evident. The battle for Earth was not just about reclaiming their planet. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity was a force that could not be ignored. In the heart of the conflict, humanity's leaders made a bold decision. If they were to truly stand a chance against the alien empire, they needed to unify the planet. The division among Earth's nations had always been a weakness, but now it became a strength. Leaders from every corner of the globe came together to form a united front, pooling their resources and knowledge. The conflict that had once been fragmented, fought in isolated pockets of the world, now became a global struggle for the future of humanity. The alien forces, aware of the shift in strategy, attempted to disrupt the newly formed alliances. They sent spies, attempted sabotage, and launched psychological operations to sow discord among the humans. But their efforts were in vain. Earth's united front held firm, and the humans began to push back, bit by bit, city by city. In the midst of the fighting, a new kind of hero began to emerge. These were not the soldiers with advanced technology or the generals with years of battle experience. They were everyday people, civilians who had been forced into the conflict, farmers, teachers, doctors, people who had never held a weapon. Before were now fighting to protect their homes, their families, and their planet. The humans realized that it wasn't just their technology that made them strong, it was their unity, their spirit, and their refusal to back down. One such hero was a young scientist who had played a key role in developing the secret weapon. She now found herself leading a team of engineers working to further enhance the device. It was clear that Earth's secret weapon had been a game-changer, but it wasn't enough to completely end the alien threat. The scientist, driven by her love for her home and her people, worked tirelessly, knowing that her discoveries could be the key to securing humanity's survival. Meanwhile, the alien forces, despite their superior technology, were beginning to realize something they had not anticipated. The humans were learning. Every defeat they suffered taught the humans something new. Every victory gave them more confidence. Earth, a planet they had once dismissed, was now a force that was rapidly becoming capable of challenging their entire empire. The battle for Earth was not a war of sheer firepower. It was a war of ingenuity, of adaptability, and of unbreakable determination. The aliens had expected to crush humanity in a matter of days, but they had underestimated the strength of human resolve. They had expected to conquer, but instead, they had found themselves in a fight for their very survival. The aliens had come to Earth expecting to face a primitive species, but they had found themselves up against a civilization unlike any other. As the war continued, both sides prepared for the final confrontation. The alien forces, despite their losses, were determined to end the fight once and for all. They had reassembled their fleet, and this time, they came with everything they had. Earth, too, had prepared. The humans had united, learned, and grown stronger with each passing day. The time had come for the final battle. The clash that followed was like no other. The skies were filled with explosions, the ground shook with the force of relentless bombardments. The battle raged for days, with neither side giving ground. The aliens had the firepower, but the humans had something more. They had the heart to fight for their world. As the battle neared its end, the humans found themselves facing the greatest challenge yet. The alien forces had one last weapon in reserve, a weapon that could obliterate Earth in an instant. It was the culmination of their advanced technology, a last-ditch effort to end the war in their favor. But the humans had one final card to play, and they were ready to risk everything to ensure that Earth's future was secured. In the final moments of the battle, as the alien weapon charged, the humans launched their most daring attack. With everything on the line, they managed to infiltrate the alien fleet, sabotage their systems, and disable the weapon just in time. The aliens, now stripped of their ultimate advantage, were forced to retreat. Earth had won. But the victory was bittersweet. The planet was scarred, and the cost had been high. Yet, in the aftermath of the battle, the humans stood united, proud, and resolute. They had not only survived, they had triumphed. And the galaxy, which had once dismissed Earth as a backwater world, would never forget the power of the humans, who had fought for their future. The final battle had been fought, and the alien forces, now retreating in defeat, left behind a planet forever changed. Earth, scarred by war and burned by conflict, was far from the peaceful world it had once been. Yet, as the smoke cleared and the ruins of destroyed cities settled into a quiet stillness, humanity stood victorious. The world that had once been overlooked, a mere dot on the vast map of the galaxy, had proven itself a formidable force, one that the universe would now never forget. The aftermath of the war was chaotic. The alien invaders had been driven off, but the cost had been steep. Earth's infrastructure had been shattered. Cities lay in ruin, with entire regions devastated by the fierce battles. The planet had been torn apart, both physically and emotionally. Yet, amid the rubble, humanity began to rebuild. And it did so with a single unbreakable truth in mind. Earth was no longer a backwater planet. It was the center of a new era. The alien retreat had not been just a withdrawal, it had been a clear admission of defeat. The alien empire, once confident in its superiority, now found itself humbled by a species they had considered inferior. The galaxy, which had watched Earth's rise with confusion and disbelief, was forced to reconsider its previous assessments. Earth had become a symbol of resilience, of defiance, and of the power of the human spirit. In the years following the war, Earth's leaders began the arduous task of restoring order. The war had united a fractured world, but the rebuilding process was slow. Nations that had once fought amongst themselves now worked together toward a common goal. The people of Earth, scarred but resolute, set about rebuilding their cities, their societies, and their dreams. The planet's once divided factions now found common cause in the face of the larger threat that had come and gone. The world's leaders formed a global council, not just for governance, but for something much larger. They had learned from the alien invasion that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its technology, but in its unity. The council worked to ensure that Earth would never again be vulnerable to outside threats. They focused on rebuilding Earth's infrastructure, harnessing the resources that had once been used for war to fuel a new era of peace and progress. The technological advancements born from the war were now being put to peaceful use. The once mysterious energy pulse that had turned the tide of the conflict was now studied and refined. It was no longer a weapon of destruction, but a source of immense power that could be used to fuel the planet's cities and propel Earth into a new age of energy, independence. The once hidden power beneath Earth's surface had been unleashed, and now it was being used to rebuild the planet, not to destroy it. The galaxy, still reeling from the shock of Earth's victory, now faced an uncertain future. The alien empire, defeated but not destroyed, had retreated to the far reaches of space. Their once unquestioned dominance had been shattered, and they were forced to reckon with the fact that Earth, a planet they had dismissed for so long, had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. They could not afford to ignore Earth any longer, but neither could they risk a direct confrontation again. Earth, once seen as a backwater planet, was now viewed with a mixture of awe and fear. Other civilizations in the galaxy, some more advanced, others less so, now saw Earth in a new light. No longer was it the insignificant world on the fringes of the galaxy. It was a force to be reckoned with. The humans, having proven their strength, were now forced to navigate a delicate balance of diplomacy, survival, and power. They knew that the galaxy would never forget what they had done, but they also understood that their place in the stars was now uncertain. With their victory came a new responsibility. Earth was no longer just a planet in a distant corner of the universe. It was now a hub of power, a center of influence in a galaxy that had once considered it a backwater. And while the aliens had retreated, Earth's newfound position came, with its own set of challenges. The humans now had to decide how to wield their newfound power. Would they build alliances with the other civilizations? Or would they stand alone, protecting their world at all costs? As the years passed, Earth began to assert its place in the galaxy. With the remnants of the alien empire in retreat, the humans established their presence among the stars. They began to explore other worlds, not with the intent to conquer, but to understand. They sought to learn from the civilizations they encountered, and in turn, they shared their knowledge. Earth, once the humble home of a species on the brink of destruction, now stood at the forefront of intergalactic diplomacy and innovation. But Earth's victory did not come without sacrifices. The scars of war were still visible on the planet's surface, and the emotional toll it had taken on humanity was not easily forgotten. The humans, having fought so fiercely to protect their home, now found themselves questioning what it meant to be a part of something larger than themselves. The war had taught them the value of unity, but it had also shown them the consequences of conflict. They had been tested and they had survived, but the journey ahead would not be without its challenges.